I am a mother of 4, with 2 of them being under the age of 3 with 1 potty training. You can imagine my long hair with the potty training, in addition to the baking and everything else that I do, my long hair is getting in the way. Now, regularly, I typically just use braids, my old trusty elastic hairband, and pull my hair up, pull my hair back. But for historical reenactment, elastic, well, that's not historically accurate. My little hair clips, also not historically accurate. So I have been doing research trying to find historically accurate hairstyles that would work for me, because with 4 children, you can probably imagine every morning it is like herding cats. So I need something that is simple, quick, but also historically accurate. Because as it is, I could throw my hair, just toss it up in a bun, put it under a caul, and who's to really know? With the caul, normally if it's worn properly, then you've got the hair taping around, so it creates like a little bump right behind the headband part. But if you don't do that, the caul doesn't look quite right, but your hair is up and out of your face. But I want a hairstyle that is historically accurate, that I don't need to hide my hair under something. There is one thing that people do use, you can find it at Renaissance festivals, and that would be the Snood. Some fun facts about the Snood. 1, crocheting did not exist till I believe the 17th century, so if you are doing 16th century and prior for a historical reenactment, a crocheted snood is not historically proper for your event. But also the problem I have with this, if you haven't noticed, my hair is thin and it is fine, and when I put my hair up, actually let me show you. As you can see, I have quickly put my hair up in the snood. But one problem that I have with this is that the weave is so wide between the cross sections that as the day progresses, my hair will fall through and it ends up becoming a glorified ponytail holder, as seen there. So the snood really isn't doing its job for me. So again, I am looking for a hairstyle that is roughly 15th to 16th century, so that way it's historically accurate, but it needs to be a hairstyle that is simple, that is quick, but also one that works for my hair. If I put a braid in my hair, the braid typically lasts anywhere from maybe 1 to up to 4 hours, depending on the braid, and then I have strands of hair falling everywhere. I have had people try to French braid my hair. It becomes it looks like a very sloppy mess that just kind of falls out of itself within an hour. So I need a historically accurate hairstyle that is easy to do and that will actually hold in my hair. So follow me on my adventure while I try to find a hairstyle for me. Here is a picture of a woman just wearing 2 simple braids going down the back. I think I could try that. So the first thing to note with all hairstyles in, at least that I have found during the medieval and the Renaissance period, all parts were done directly down the middle. As you can see, I have mine off to the side, so I have a pick here to fix my hair and then part my hair down the middle, just like this. So before I start braiding my hair, I want to get my historically accurate hair tie ready. So first I have a needle. This is a bent packaging needle. You just need a large needle with a blunt end. And then I have some thin yarn here. With the yarn here, historically speaking, wool, flax, or cotton was spun, and then that created the string. This is just yarn that I picked up at the store, so maybe not exactly historically accurate for the moment, but right now I'm working on hairstyles, and then I'll work on period hair ties. So for now, I believe this is probably synthetic, but it will do. Also, just a side note, I am using red mainly so that way it can show up in my hair. Hopefully it'll show up in my hair. That way you can see what I've done. So first on one end, you are going to thread your needle. And if you are not able to get the yarn to go straight through the eye, then the other thing you can do is to take the end and fold it like this, and then push the fold through the eye. Just like that. Now once you've pulled it through, you'll want to knot this end to the needle. That way your thread does not come loose from the needle while you are doing your hairstyle. And I'm just doing a couple simple knots here. So to show you that one more time, I'm crossing the string over like that. This is, the little tail is on the bottom, and I'm folding it up and over the top, through the center, pushing it through, and then pulling tight. Now, on the other end of the string, you want to create a slip knot. To create a slip knot, you will hold your tail in one hand, and then, as you can see, I have a U shape right now. Now you'll take your string, crisscross it, and then this part right here, I'm going to bend up and into the circle. And now I have created my slip knot. See? I can pull it big. I can pull it the other way and make it small. This is what the needle will go through, like this. So the needle will go through the slip knot, and then you'll pull it tight, and that's what secures this to your hair. To begin making 2 braids, first I'm going to use my pick. You can also use a comb, and how I have my part down the middle, I'm just going to take the pick here and continue the part all the way down the back of my head. Let me show you on the back side here, where I have taken the pick and gone down my hair. So I have half of my hair on one side and half on the other side. And just to make sure everything is nice and smooth here, I'm going to comb it out. Now to do a simple braid, you want to divide your hair into thirds. So I have one section here. I'm going to stick my finger in the middle here, and now I have 2 sections here. And from here, you're just going to crisscross the strands. So the one that's here in my left hand is going to go up and over on the right side. Now the second one that is around my thumb is going to go up and around into the left hand. And you just keep repeating this until you've braided your hair all the way down. According to the portrait, this braid appears to start right about above the ear, which is why I've started where I have. And I'm still going, but as you can see, my hair started out thick and is already starting to get quite thin. Now, once you have finished braiding your hair, take your hair tie, and I've got the loop here in my left hand, and I'm going to wrap the thread around, put the needle through the loop, and then just pull everything tight. Now that I've pulled my slip knot tight, and now I'm going to use the needle, and I'm just going to stick it through the braid and pull it around, stick it through again. Think of this like sewing the thread to your hair. And then I'm going to wrap the thread around a couple of times, stick the needle through the hair again, continuously pulling tight. Careful to cut the string and not your hair. And there we go. So I have one braid done, and now time to braid the other side. One thing I will note though, that I braided my hair right above the ear, and if you're like me, I actually like the hair behind my ears normally, and so this is actually it's annoying me a little bit, so I want to put it behind my ear, but because of how I've braided it, it won't sit like that. It keeps sitting on my ear. So I think if I were to do this hairstyle again, I would start behind my ear and then down. So that's why for this braid, I am going to start behind the ear, so don't be surprised that the braids won't quite match up. Now with this side, I'm going to start braiding just like I did before. So divide the hair into 3 strands and then start braiding. And now that I'm getting near the end of my hair, this is where I should have prepared my thread ahead of time and just realized that I did not prepare another string as I showed you with this one. And so I have nothing to secure my braid with. So at this point, this is where I would either, to keep the tension in my braid, where I would either hand my braid to someone else to hold this while I created my string with the slip knot, or if I weren't talking with you, I would put my hair in my mouth, because again, I'm trying to be historically accurate here, because I really, in a modern setting, I would use a hair clip, but again, trying to find a historically accurate way to do things. So I don't have anyone here, so I guess I'll have to put my hair in my mouth. Be right back. And now that I have my thread ready, I've got the slip knot here in my fingers, I've got my needle here, and I'm just going to stick the needle through the slip knot and pull everything tight. And same as before, I'm just going to wrap this around and stitch it in place. So putting the needle through the hair again. So right now I feel sort of like a medieval Pippi Longstocking. Could this work? Is it historically accurate? As we saw in the picture, yes, this is a historically accurate. Sorry, my braid is really annoying me over my left ear. Yes, this is a historically accurate way of wearing my hair. It could work. At the same time, with 4 kids, I could easily see my braids being pulled or still getting in the way, because if I'm bent over baking, I've got little tails to go into the dough that I'm baking. So historically accurate, yes. Easy, yes. But does it work for what I need it for? Not really. On to the next hairstyle. On the left-hand side is a picture of a girl with braids that were braided from about the ears, probably about the ears down, maybe the temples down. And then once she had the braids, pulled them up over her head and tied them in place. That looks fairly simple. So for this next hairstyle, I already have my braids, and it looks like all she did was tie them up on top. And, well, okay, that was 1 knot. Let's try 2. So I've crisscrossed once, and now I'm going to crisscross again. Well, that sort of worked. As long as I kept my braids on my hair, or on my head, then that worked. But just by moving my hair, or well, just by moving my head, the braids fell down. So let's try that again. Yeah, this works. No, no, it doesn't. On to the next hairstyle. on the right hand side is, you can see in the painting where the women have taken the braids, braided from about the temples down, and the lady on the far right side, it looks like the braids just go down and probably are folded and sewn up. But then if you look, you can see the back of a lady's head and where the braids go down instead of just being braids at the front on the either side of the face, and that's it. You can actually see where braids go down and around the bottom, right above the neck at the base of the hairline. Here is another example of that same hairstyle. You can see where the braids start from about the temples down and then curve back up a little bit underneath. So probably stitched a little bit there, but rather than just being braids and that's it on either side of the face, you can see in the red circle a hint of the braid going back and going right along the bottom of the hairline, right above the neck, and that's where the ends of the braids are. For this next hairstyle, you will find in many paintings as well as sculptures where the braids start here and right about the temple and then go down to about the chin and then get sewn back up on the back side. In this particular hairstyle, instead of just being folded back up behind the braid and just having braids right here at the front, this particular one shows it goes down, back up slightly, and then goes around the back of the head right above the neck. So rather than cutting my hair ties out and rebraiding my hair, although that's what I should do, first I want to see if this hairstyle would even be possible before I take the braids out and do it again. So first, just pretend that right here is a temple braid going down, and then I want to see, because I've actually never done this before, I've seen people do it, I've seen videos and where people have taken pins and then they just hold the braid in place like that. Obviously, that's not going to work with my hair, so I need to sew it in place. So first, because in the sculpture there, it went down and then back up a little bit before it went around the back of the hair. I've got my hair tie with the slip knot ready. And let's see if I actually, I'm going to go from the back side. Let's see if I can make this work. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from the back side, or the underneath side, however you want to phrase it, stick my needle through my hair, pull, but I'm not going to pull too tightly because I want my slip knot on the other side. So now that I've got it here, I'm going to stick my needle back through both braids like that. Now I'm going to find my slip knot. Maybe. Okay, find my slip knot, stick it through the needle, and then pull everything tight. I'm probably going to do that 1 or 2 more times just to secure everything. Now that I've stuck the strand through both braids a couple of times, now I'm going to start sewing my hair back along the back of my head. So with this, I'm going to take the needle. I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to go down and up. And I'm just going to wrap my string around the braid. Just a side note, this would be a lot easier if I had someone else doing this. And as you can tell, I'm just going by feel here because well, I don't have eyes in the back of my head. So hopefully this turns out okay. Well, it's probably not pretty, but again, this is just an experiment. Looks like I would probably need a few more strands to tie it up right here. I'm going to go look in the mirror and see how the backside looks, or how bad the backside looks. So yeah, I saw the back of my head. Is my hairstyle pretty? Not really, but it is historically accurate and it gets my hair back and up and out of the way. Is it quick? Yeah. It could be better, it could be worse, but it's still not pretty, but something I would definitely need to work on. But this might be a possibility. I'll just need to work on it. But for now, let's try out a new hairstyle. One quick thing though with this hairstyle, and I fear I will run into it regardless of what hairstyle I use. I don't know how well it'll show up on camera, but if you can see, I have a bunch of straggly bits here and I have hair already coming out of the braids, and I'm sure as the day wore on, if I wore this all day long, I would have hair just going out everywhere. And later on in this video, I will discuss historical possibilities for keeping my hair contained in a braid rather than just going out everywhere. Here are a couple of examples from the 15th century. And in the 14th century, I found examples with braids. In the 15th century, it looks like braids either were not as fashionable or at least were not as prominent in paintings. And both of these examples, it looks like the ladies just simply have their hair, rather than braided, just pulled. And like with me, I'm actually kind of twisting my hair here. And then from that, they could then take the lacing and tape their hair. But I do find that they would either just gather the hair like this, just pull it straight, and then wrap the lacing around that. Or with me, I find actually twisting my hair a bit helps hold it in place for the taping. On the left-hand side is a painting of the Catherine of Aragon, and this was painted roughly about 1496, and this painting is in a museum in Madrid. On the right-hand side is a portrait of a woman from about 1494, and it is at the Met. And here we are in the 16th century. On the left-hand side is a bust of a woman. It's German, and it's at the Met Museum, and most of her hair is hidden behind a headpiece, but you can see inside the red oval the faint hinting of a braid going down. So I think that's reminiscent of the previous centuries with having braids there. On the right-hand side is a reliquary bust of a female saint. It's from the Netherlands, and it is at the Met Museum. And with this one, you can see braids going down, braids crisscrossing around her head, going down to the ears, and then back up. She has a lot of hair to braid. On the left-hand side is another example of, this one is a reliquary bust of a companion of St. Ursula, and to me, her hair with the braids going down and back up around the face and braids down looks similar but different to this reliquary bust on the right side. So similar but different, so braids going down and back up and braids going down. On the right side is a portrait of a woman, and this portrait says it's from about 1557 to 1602. So somewhere in that 50-year time range. And this portrait is at the Met Museum. And with this lady, it looks like she simply has her hair braided, and it looks like there are ties on top. So my guess is she probably braided her hair and then taped her hair to her head. And if you have questions about hair taping, I have a video that I did just on hair taping, and I will post that link in the comments below. And these are more examples of the hair taping that I just mentioned for that link that I will post in the comments below. And as you can see, the ladies have their hair parted down the middle, and you can see, especially the girl on the right-hand side, you can see where her braids go up and around the crown of her head, and then that there is lacing tying those braids to her head. And if you're really not into braids, on the left-hand side it just looks like it's simply hair tied into a bun. Based on the side profile, it looks like it may have been maybe just one ponytail that was braided, wrapped around, and then kind of laced into a bun. On the right-hand side, I found this portrait to be interesting just because if you look closely, she has braids that start here right on either side of the part, and those little braids form around her face, but then there's another braid going down and around right in front of her ear. So I'm curious if she didn't have that coif or caul on, how many braids or how all they would be crisscrossing underneath. Here is another example of hair taping. With this, it looks like the hair is just straight, it's not twisted. And so just take the hair straight like this, and then take your lacing, and then just spiral lace it around your hair. And with this particular one, they have the part is in the middle, goes down the back of the head, and then splits the hair in half. And then just from there, the lacing goes around the hair, and then the hair wraps up and around the head, and then kind of crisscrosses, and then the ends are tucked up and under, up on top. Looks like on either side, right above the ear is where her hair ends. This particular bust is at the Cleveland Museum of Art. Here are a few more examples of hair taping. On the left-hand side is Lucrezia Sommaria. It's from about 1510, and it's with the National Gallery of Art. On the right-hand side is a lady that is in a larger picture known as The Birth of Mary, and it's from about 1486 to 1490. The thing that I find interesting with this particular painting is if you notice her hair, not only is it taped, it goes like around the head, and then so it goes up from the base of the neck up to about behind the ears, and then goes straight across, going around to the crown of her head. But if you look, there is lacing up on the top of her head that connects to her hair that's been taped. And then it almost looks like it also goes underneath her chin. So like the lacing is going up under the chin and over the head to secure the taped hair on the back of the head. And some more examples of hair taping. On the left-hand side is the market scene from about 1563. And with this one, she may have her hair braided, she may not. Based on the painting, it looks like it's not braided, but just coiled around itself a few times. And that is all on the crown of her head, and then spiral lacing the hair to the crown of her head. And then there's a little bow or a knotted string right at the front of the hair up on top of the head. On the right-hand side is a similar hairstyle by a different lady. This is another market scene, and this painting is from about 1565. So if you're like me and your hair is thin, it's straight, it's baby fine, as you can see on the left-hand side, my hair braided is no more than an inch thick. Well, one option you have is to get hair extensions if you want a thicker braid or a longer braid. The picture on the right-hand side is from Sally Beauty Supply, and I found this hair extension to be online for, I think it's roughly about $2.50 or $3 for one package. And with that, you would take the hair out, divide it into 3 strands, then take those strands, fold it in half, and you would knot those strings together using the paranda method. If you do not know what that method is, I will include a link in the comments below on a tutorial on exactly how to do that kind of knot. And once you have your hair extension ready to go, then you would merge it into the braid. Just make sure you put the knotted end on the inside so that no one sees the knot sticking out of your hair. Or another option is this right here, it is a false braid made from padded cloth tubes. It's from about the 15th to the 16th century, and it's German. I don't know about wearing cloth tubes to look like hair on my head. I guess I would rather wear hair extensions so I have fake hair that looks like real hair rather than cloth tubes. But just know that this is an option if this is what you would like to do. Here are some suggested hair accessories. On the left-hand side are brass pins. This is from the Dark Victory Armory. It's on Etsy. In the middle, some U-shaped hairpins, and on the right, a hair lacing kit by the Tudor tailor. Again, these are just suggested hair accessories depending on how you wish to style your hair. According to the Complete Anachronist, issues number 144 and 145, there is a hypothesis about flaxseed gel that may have been used to help with braiding ladies' hair. The thing with using flaxseed gel, it takes patience trying to work it into your hair, and you might need a wide tooth comb when using it. Just think of the flaxseed gel as the medieval version of, say, like hair gel or hairspray. It's a product that was used or may have been used to help keep your hair in the hairstyle that you wanted it in. Some other accessories that were found during the Renaissance. On the left-hand side is it's a little picture that's part of a bigger picture. It's called St. Matthew the Evangelist. It's from 1478, and it's in a museum in Madrid. And I have highlighted the part where, if you look on the right side of the picture, you can see it's a comb that has teeth on both sides. One side, the teeth are more spread apart, and then the other side, the teeth are more closer together. The side with the teeth that are further apart, think of that like a pick. That would be something you would use to help comb out all of the knots in your hair. And then once you have combed out all of the knots, the other side of the comb with the teeth that are closer together, that would be something that you would use to help, if you had lice, help remove any possibility of having lice in your hair, so a very fine tooth comb. But it also helps spread the oil from the scalp and spread it down through your hair. On the right-hand side is a picture of a lady. It's the portrait of Elizabeth Vernon, who was the Countess of Southampton. This painting is from about 1600, and you can see her using that specific type of comb. You can see the one side has wide teeth, and then she is using the side of the comb with the teeth that are close together. If you have questions, here's my works cited page and more works cited page. And a quick side note, these knots work really well with your hair because no matter how hard I try to pull, I'm really not getting anywhere. It's not coming out. So if you use scissors, be careful to cut the string and not your hair. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Post them in the comments below. Remember to select thumbs up if you like the video. And as always, please subscribe.